The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions.
Hello everybody, welcome to Tokucast Reviews, episode 111.
Yep.
The one that a lot of you have been waiting for.
Yep.
Kamen Rider Build.
Yep.
So.
Let's start where we always do.
Well, let's start by explaining that this is not going to be the typical...
It is once again going to be good, bad, terror, bad.
Yep.
We are not summarizing the entire plot because we would be here all day poking holes in it.
And I'm just going to do that in general.
So, let's start with the opening.
Don't like it.
Fuck, it's bad.
I like this one.
I hate Beverly's voice.
I don't like the singer's voice.
I think it's okay.
That's my biggest issue.
It's not the worst opening we've ever had, but it's definitely not the best. Or not even a good one.
I like the instrumental version of it. I just really don't like Beverly's voice.
Yeah, the voice is what kills it.
Well, it is Pandora featuring Beverly, so...
That's fair.
But I think it's fine. The opening's fine.
But let's start with, in this typical format, let's start with the good. This won't take long. I like the suits.
I do like
I like the aesthetic.
Why do we not get the things?
Hold on, what? Oh, the figures.
We forgot to put them on the table.
Really? Oh, God, the perfect hexagon shape. Dust.
They're really the best.
The suits. I like the suits. I like the aesthetic. I like the...
I don't like Grease's suit. But
Grease's suit.
it's the color.
It's not even the color. It's the pauldrons for me.
Either way.
But I apparently have a problem with big pauldrons.
The suits are good.
The suits are good. I like the idea that we're not introduced to him before he's a Kamen Rider. He's already been Kamen Rider Build for a little bit. I would like to see more of that.
We'll see how next year goes because we're getting closer to rumor season. And I haven't watched Saber since episode 15, and I don't plan on doing so until we actually have to review it. So...
Margazatsu, I follow him on Twitter. He likes it, so maybe it got better.
No.
It's possible.
But, yeah, I like episode 21, the first introduction of Hazard, because I love how that scene is shot. And how they have, a couple of Dutch angles in there. And
I like the idea
idea
of a form that he's afraid to use because he can't control it. It wasn't executed well, but that idea on paper is nice.
It was a straight up berserk. I just really like that scene. Like him just running through and killing the guy at the end. And then the next episode having to deal with that PTSD before it got terrible again.
And it's a nice looking suit, just like the normal suit, but black.
The black with the red and blue in the eyes. I thought it looked good. I thought Hot Gatling would be able to get in that form later.
I like the idea of the very W-like, we have the inanimate object and the living organism that make a perfect match. I like that idea. I think some of the combinations were a bit, what the fuck?
That's how I feel about all the combinations, to be honest.
That's fair.
How did we get from A to B? Or
vacuum.
This is more A to pretzel.
Lion vacuum.
Lion vacuum.
This is very much an A to pretzel situation.
I don't mind Rabbit Tank. I didn't mind Hot Gatling.
Pirate Train.
The explanation at the end of Giving Later for it is really stupid.
Gorilla Diamond was okay, but stuff like anything in vacuum, anything in or anything in cell phone.
That's it.
I didn't say anything yet.
You just sat there looking sad.
I sat there contemplating and trying to formulate my thoughts.
I still had some things I like about the show.
Because I have a lot.
Anything you'd like?
Yes. Getting back to the suits, one of the things I really liked about them was the use of color, especially on the base form.
Yep.
And the way that it's. And the way, like, the actual henshin sequence itself, where with the pipes and the bottles forming, and it's like two halves coming over a base, in a way that...
It's a mold.
It's a mold that it doesn't cover the whole suit, but in a way that I think works.
It's like one of those, like, the Gunpla figurines for Gundams.
Yeah, I was just thinking we had to cut them out of the...
Yeah, you gotta cut them out of the thing, and then,
That's what I was also thinking.
I like those.
I also like... I like the henshin sequence. I like the bell doesn't say too much.
I disagree.
It does get a little loud in some cases.
It gets a little loud. I think it's a little too noisy depending on the form.
Fair.
Especially when you get later on in the show.
I honestly, though, it didn't bother me as much as, like, say, Ghost. It's not as bulky as you would expect. It is a
little flatter.
It's flatter, but it's
They are
wider.
a little streamlined, but one...
The handle, though. I feel like he's gonna...
I feel like it's gonna get caught on something.
I was just about to say that.
Like around the corner.
Yeah.
It's the doorknob.
It's the doorknob. I mean,
also,
I once ripped the jacket doing
the
it.
tiny bottles are a little awkward, and yet
the shaking of the bottles I was not a big fan of, but if I want to stick to positive things, I think the acting in this show is very good.
I'll give it that, yeah.
I think all the performances across the board are really good. And I think
despite what they were given.
Doesn't mean we like them.
Regardless of the script, I think everyone in the cast is pulling their weight, and they are giving their A game regardless of what the material
For, like,
is.
the first half of the show, I liked the main character. Like, I didn't fucking despise him. He was arrogant, but when you know you're the smartest guy in the room, that kind of comes with the territory.
I have more thoughts. We will wait.
But I'm so used to seeing Kamen Riders be naive. It was nice to see one that was book smart. Because they're typically naive in preaching their sense of justice or whatever is good.
I don't think I outright disliked any of the characters. I don't like from start to, I mean, there are things about the characters I didn't like.
That's fair.
There are things about the way they are written that I flat out hated in some cases.
We'll get to that.
But that's more of a script issue, not so much an actor issue.
Because the actors, like you said, they really give, 100%.
I'm tired of phones turning into bikes. Sorry, wrong section.
Any other positives?
Yes. I think this show has a lot of good ideas.
It definitely has a lot of good ideas.
I think this show. Yes. I think this is easily the most ambitious Kamen Rider I've ever watched. This really feels like they wanted to make Kamen Rider an epic. They really wanted to they really pull from a lot of past seasons, and they let's take all these elements of past seasons, whether it's writers fighting writers from Ryuki, whether it's the serialized story that we had in X-Aid, or things like the genius elements and elements of friendship and whatnot, just like all these little elements that we pull from other shows, and we're going to combine them, and we're going to create this epic saga. We're going to create the saga of Kamen Rider Build. It's going to be like the most epic Kamen Rider show that we've ever produced. And I gotta say I admire that. I admire them taking a risk and trying to make Kamen Rider let's fight the monster, let's beat the bad guy. They change it up in a way that I think is, while I don't think the script works, it's still like the concept is interesting enough that I was still invested enough to watch.
I agree with that. Also, can we talk about, I think what is the best looking form is, I think, Comic Ninja. I think that one just worked. Yellow, purple, and just, I think aesthetically.
It was a good looking suit, and I also like the powers that came with it.
Oh, absolutely. I like that he's building everything. It's not just coming with it. He is literally making the weapons. He's making the forms. Though that also leaves it open to the issue that even gets that in the show with Grease. Can I have a power up, please?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
It'll kill you, but all right. Also, I will say that I like that scene with Blizzard. When he gets the power up,
it was a good scene.
It was a great scene. It was great acting.
That was a good scene,
and when he disintegrated, it hurt.
I liked that scene.
That entire sequence was great, and I do love I love you answered the bell. Are you ready? Damn right. He was a good character at times. At times. We will get to the other times. He was a good character at times.
Insert asterisk the size of Lady Dimitris.
They were all good characters at times.
Anybody else have anything good?
The final form.
I'll probably mix them in
I know I'm
as
probably
we
in the
go
minority
along.
at this table, but the final form grew on me.
I like its abilities.
It didn't use them nearly enough.
No.
Well, he gets it very late.
Yeah.
Even still.
And
I don't think there was really a form I didn't 100%. I didn't 100% dislike. I don't.
I did.
There's also a lot of forms.
There is.
Like a lot.
Like
of
even the
forms.
vacuum one.
I'm not even talking about just Bro
passive.
himself. I'm more talking about his romantic lover over here.
Oh no, yeah, his
Banjo.
magma form looked great.
I'm not talking about that one.
I know.
What form are you talking about?
His probably evil form. When...
Let's go.
Why don't we go into the bad?
I'm just going to combine these next two.
No,
we
'cause-
usually do.
Well,
We
let's stick with the things that are bad but not
I'm just
fucking
going to combine
awful.
it all because it's too much.
Because there are-
extra.
I have too many things that are just. in
But
my
there
head
are
right
there
now
are
I
things
need
that
to
I
say.
think are bad but that aren't fucking awful.
Well, we can discuss them as well. So.
I haven't really spoken yet.
No, you haven't.
No.
You have a list.
So please.
I do have a list, and I'm excited to share it. So I'm going to start sort of low here. He gets this form for like an episode, maybe an episode and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Then he ends up getting that jelly form.
Mm-hmm.
What is the point of that?
The jelly form? I don't even remember.
Clash or Slash or whatever the hell it is. The light blue one.
Yeah.
It looks terrible.
I don't remember it to be
There's
honest.
a reason for that. He gets this form for all of an episode, and next thing you know, we're on this.
Oh, you're talking about him.
Yeah.
Oh god, he gets that form for a solid like arc.
Mm.
Which makes zero sense because you just gave us this one.
Yeah.
And sparkling? Why? That's a form that doesn't even make sense. There's no build up to it. It doesn't really make any sense in the show proper. It just happens and then we forget about it. It's such an early power form that it feels useless.
It's like, what's it from Ghost? The all red one.
Boost.
Yeah.
It's like Boost, but
Boost.
but Boost stuck around to the point where you're like, why would you do anything else? This was the opposite.
Now I can actually go into the list. I just had to see it because they were both here. So, I want to start at the top. Everybody becomes some form of comic relief, and that is unnecessary.
I don't have a problem with that.
I do.
I do, but I don't. It depends on the comedy.
Because
And some
it's
hit and some didn't.
everyone. Everybody.
Then we can just call it a comedic show.
At that point, because of the way that the tone keeps doing this really quickly almost every episode.
It's like fashion show at the coffee shop. The end of the fucking world. But he fell. I get what you're saying.
It just, there's so much tonal whiplash, but that comedy relief thing where it just everybody ends up being it really started to annoy me very quickly, especially in the latter half of this show.
Yes.
Here's how I feel about that.
Go for it.
Again, I think that's more of a. Here's my problem with the comedic relief. It wasn't funny.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
That's the thing. It just wasn't funny.
It wasn't. I don't have. Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with them.
All being
I don't have a problem with comedic relief. I don't have a problem with
as
that.
long as it's funny.
If it's funny, if it's good, but it's not a good script. It's not a good script. The jokes, they're not funny. And that's where my biggest problem comes from.
I will admit that there are some characters in this show that when they become the comic relief, it just seems so out of character for them.
I don't think it's the characters. It's more like this is the script itself. It's not this character is becoming comic relief. No, it's this character is doing a thing that it's funny for comic relief.
That's fair.
I don't think it's
There's some definite
I don't think it's the character themselves is becoming a comedic character. They're just the script is finding a situation to make a
I would
comedic thing
disagree.
happen.
It is on the list, but it hasn't come up yet.
What was his name? The Prime Minister's son.
Oh, Night Road?
Again.
Gen. When he became a
That's on the list, yeah.
sort of good guy, but he didn't have a sense of fashion. It seemed so out of left field for him to be like trying to be funny.
I'm gonna go back a little bit.
That's the thing. The character wasn't trying to be funny. The writers thought that scene would be funny.
And I'll explain why in a little bit, but I do want to bring up more about this guy, Mr.
Okay.
Banjo.
Okay.
His arc was at the beginning, and it basically got condensed into one episode.
Are you talking about the girlfriend episode?
Yes.
Which is the second episode.
You also want to know what's a different but similar problem with that?
Mm.
Who do we just have that had that arc, but done a lot better and pretty much over the entire show?
Brave.
Yeah, from X-Aid.
Yes. It got condensed down to one episode for this guy. And it just didn't work.
Because he needed to get the girl out of the way so he could then pretend to have, or not pretend, so he can then have his bromantic relationship with the main character for the next 50 episodes.
Also, speaking about this guy, and that's why I'm also happy I made you watch the movie because it happens there too. This guy loves to repeat arcs, and it's the same arc over and over and over again. What does it mean to be a Kamen Rider? This is what it means to be a Kamen Rider. 3 episodes later, what does it mean to be a Kamen Rider? This is what it means to be a Kamen Rider.
Jacob has thoughts.
I do have thoughts. You summed up one of my problems with this show as a whole. There is not a single idea that the writers come up with for this show that they don't say, hey, that worked. That was pretty good.
Let's do it again.
Nice work on that. Let's do it again. And they do it again. And then they do it again. And then they do it again. And then they do it again. And again. And again. And again. And then you sit there in my chair watching the show, asking myself, what could I have done with my life instead?
I mean, you can go back
Just
how many years?
Pretty much every single mystery in this show being incredibly obvious.
Incredibly obvious, and not to mention
Not to
every
mention,
single
really
every single major decision or stake or consequence is backpedaled. Almost immediately, or at least by the end of the show.
Can you go into more detail, please?
Yes, because we made a fucking video about it when episode 21 came out. When he killed that guy, we looked right at this camera and we said, do not take it back. And they took back everything.
How so?
They made an entire goddamn world where none of this happened. Everything that we have experienced is now null and void because nothing was permanent. They fixed everything, a band-aids on it, happy doodah. And yes, I do mean that because it's got to be a happy fucking ending.
Just to build off of that, this is why I also had you watch.
Also, there's 2 banjos now, which is I can't remember the main character's name because that's his fucking wet dream. It's his fucking wet dream to have 2 of them.
Well, one who's straight, one who's gay. There you go.
The end game of the show.
That's how you
mean the last 20 episodes that shouldn't have happened because the bad
Pretty
guy
much that.
should
We're
have
actually
won
going to focus on
immediately.
the last episode really quickly.
But yeah, we made a fucking video about that.
Here's the thing. I did not hate this show.
I did.
I did not hate this show.
I didn't either.
Then the ending happened.
And then the ending. Yep. Thank you.
Here's the thing. I still don't know if I still wouldn't say that I certainly hated the ending, and it's not because of the merging of the worlds. That I was okay with.
I wasn't.
Nope.
Because it was the ending of Heisei Generation's final, except this time the heroes are doing it. And it also ends up begging the question, why was that the solution?
It was the solution because there was
then nobody's dead.
They didn't know that. They wouldn't have known any of this would have happened.
But the writers do, and that's the problem.
Brings me to one of my biggest problems with this show.
It's so fun when he's angry.
Sento. He is a magical genius.
You mean a Deus Ex
No,
Machina
he
genius?
is a magical genius.
Mm-hmm.
He knows everything. He knows how to do everything that the plot requires him to do and know, but we, the audience, are never once clued in as to how the heck he is coming up with this stuff.
That's
Not
a valid point.
once. Okay.
He doesn't show his work.
Did you watch the Trope Talk on Charismaniacs?
Yes.
Okay. It's like illustrated in the video. How did he know that? Because he's a genius. Okay, well, how are we supposed to know that? It is very important to my ego that you never find out. That's this character. Everything that Sento does in this show, it's magic. This is magic. Everything that he does, everything that he knows, you are a show that is all about science. And I'm like, okay, so our Kamen Rider is a genius. He's going to figure things out.
He's going to build things.
He's going to build things. He's going to construct things. He's going to build the future. He's going to build, a new tomorrow. He's going to build new forms. He's going to build relationships. He's going to build a way for this, story to get from A to B. No. What do they do instead? every single time, he just shows up and he has done the thing off screen. How? Because he's a genius. We are constantly told how much of a genius this character is, but not once do we ever actually see him doing anything.
And
your show is built around science. It's built around science. I was so excited going into this. I was like, okay, what are they going to do? I want to see, like, my mouth is literally watering at the thought of a Kamen Rider or Toku show where they are actually delving into the science of how this stuff could work. I want to see that. I really want to see that. That's something I would love for them to do, but
vindicated, do you feel?
But instead, it's just every single time we get a new form, every time there's a new fight, every time a new bad guy is introduced, every single time, it's just, I know what is going to, it's like, I did it because I'm a genius. He did it because he's a genius. And we are just expected to go along with it because he's a genius, and that drove me freaking crazy.
To drive that point home to anybody who may not agree with that,
Which is fine.
But let me explain why he's right. Because it is possible to do what he just said. And my example and my proof, and I hate to go to a non-Toku thing, but it's just too perfect. Dr. Stone. Watch Dr. Stone. The main character is a genius. He is a genius. They are in a stone world and he has to rebuild society. But here's the difference. We are seeing him go step by step by step. Oh, I have this chemical that goes with this chemical that goes with this thing, and I get soap. He is literally showing his work on how he is solving the problem.
I'll give Build this, and this
2 seasons of that, by the way.
This is really going against your point. That's based on real world science.
I give you that.
This isn't.
But they can still give it. It's not about the real world science. It's about the showing your work to get to the solution and it not happening off screen. That's the point I'm
making. We are dealing. I mean, it's magic. Any technology that is
if Star Trek can do
any technology that is this sufficiently advanced is basically magic.
Every single time you say that, the Magic Ranger guy just keeps saying Maho.
But I see what you're saying.
It's Maho.
But if Star Trek can explain how their shit works, Kamen Rider can explain how their shit works.
That depends on the writing.
I don't care if it's scientific.
Even if it's gobbledygook. We are dealing with people. We are dealing with mergings of worlds and aliens and life on Mars and like alien DNA possessing other people and
alien DNA.
Dino DNA.
Snake DNA.
Dinosaurs.
Maho.
Maho DNA.
We're dealing with all these crazy, out there concepts, and it's all great. So I don't care how accurate it is. We're already dealing with science fiction. It doesn't have to be 100% grounded in verisimilitude. Just
if Doctor Who can explain how some of their shit works, Kamen Rider can explain how their shit works. And Doctor Who makes no fucking sense.
Oh no, it refuses to.
Now take a little box and put a big box inside that little box, and then you do it. That is a serious explanation of how the TARDIS works, and I accept that.
Okay, I'm just gonna go back.
You take a very big
I'm picking a little bit of.
And put it in a little from
picking from your list.
Gentoku. Let's talk about him for a quick second. Mr. Rogue.
That's the Prime Minister's son.
Yeah, let's talk about his arc. Just straight up ends.
And then
like halfway through the show, it doesn't really go anywhere. It just happens. His dad dies. Oh well.
And then we get diet version of him as a villain in like the last 4 episodes.
Well,
oh yeah, Mr. Mad Rogue, who shows up the episode before Genius, but like at the very end of that episode, and then Genius shows at the beginning of the next episode, and then for some reason, like a couple episodes later, he just beats Genius for no reason.
There's power scaling issues in this show.
It's not even power scaling. That's just a flip flop.
No. Power scaling is a massive, massive issue in this show. I'm sorry. How strong are these characters supposed to be? please, when you are doing your world building in the writers, I was hoping we could skirt past it. Thank you very much.
No, we weren't never going to be able to.
I was hoping.
World building, go. You need to be consistent.
You need to be consistent. When you are doing your planning in the writer's room, map out, okay, this person is this strong, this person is this strong, X equals Y equals pretzel. Stick to it!
Pretzel stick.
For the love of Pete, just stick to it. The amount of times in this show, this drove me nuts. A character will... You have a more powerful form. Or we know that you're stronger than this, because we've seen you be stronger than this. They'll get their butts kicked. They will de-henshin, give a speech about, I'm powerful, and I
believe in myself.
And I'm gonna fight for Gurgledy-Burgledy, and
Gurgledy-Burgledy.
And then they transform again, because the amount of times people lose a fight, de-henshin, only to transform again moments later and then win happens with alarming frequency. It happens so much.
That's quite a bit.
And it was annoying.
Let's talk about the Born to Die trio.
Oh, that's a great name for them. That's a great name for them.
They were there to die.
They were there to die. And it's not like I have a problem with characters like that. I mean, we just got through Falcon and Winter Soldier. Let's be real. There were some of those in that show.
Yeah, but that show was good.
Where's the rest of your thought?
But, sorry, I was just waiting for acknowledgement. But, I'm trying to... They were there to die, and they did their job, and honestly, I thought they did it okay.
The first one did.
The first one did. The second two, not as well. But the problem is the first one kind of left off.
I don't even think the first one did it well.
I think he did.
I don't.
Because it showed up Hazard, and that's what it was supposed to do. It showed off how dangerous that system was, and it made a point of showing how dangerous that system was because
the other two,
he was the first death.
And the fallout that happened as a result to me did not work.
No. They kind of
Episode 21.
He kind of got over it too quickly.
Episode 21 did not work for me. Because A, I didn't care about those three, and I didn't care about Grease yet. They were just dudes.
It didn't work.
He was some dude.
I didn't care about them either, but that's not why it worked for me. I didn't care that he was dead. I was invested in the main character and how that was going to affect him psychologically.
You know who did it better? Gaim.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think Gaim did that much better.
Absolutely.
And
we're not arguing that.
And
they didn't fucking resurrect anybody in
Gaim. But that's neither here nor there.
Like Utsumi, a.k.a. Mr. Marrow himself.
Let's
throw him off a dam.
Yeah.
And then have him come back as Mad Rogue. Because he's a cyborg now.
Let's make a bunch of jokes about him being a cyborg, and then whoopsie doodle, he's actually a cyborg.
Let me finish my thought on the Born to Die trio.
Go ahead.
I understand why they were there, but the fallout from their death on Grease was handled so poorly. That is the moment he should have gotten a power-up. He should have gotten the one he gets in his fucking movie. The one that is based off the three of them. That is called an arc. That is called resolution.
I don't know that he needed to get a power-up form.
Not then.
I don't... Not then or ever. I don't know that he ever needed one.
I think he could have.
He could have gone through the whole show without it, and it probably would have worked just as fine. I think it would have.
I don't think it would have. Not with the way that he got bodied near the end of the show. Speaking of people getting bodied, since we had the Born to Die trio, let's talk about the Born to Die duo. The Gear Brothers.
Oh, yeah, those two.
Who were just...
Who cares?
A copied version.
Who cares?
No, I'm talking about them for a reason. Who were just a copied version of the main bad guy from Heisei Generations Final.
Yeah, I noticed that after I watched Heisei Generations Final. I was like, oh, wait, is it those guys? Oh, no, they have completely different personalities. This must be somebody else.
It's not them, it's just two other people.
No, it's two different...
But these two, for some reason, right before they died, it's like, we're going to have some big speech about how I matter now. No.
No, you don't.
You were here to die.
I don't even remember. What was the entire point of that tournament?
Because
they had to repeat it for the first time.
This is something that again, the whole Skywall splitting Japan into different factions.
Great idea on paper.
Not entirely. Because at the same time, they can all still communicate. It's not like the branches of Japan can't travel between each other. It's not like...
Well, they couldn't at first, and they found like those underground tunnels.
Well, they found underground tunnels, and they were also like you could travel to other places by boat.
He's got a point.
You can do it by boat. It's not like Japan doesn't have boats.
It's not like Japan's just a bunch of islands.
It's also
it's not like it is. It's an island nation.
He raises a valid point.
And
so the entire purpose of them becoming 3 separate governments is kind of moot.
It is, but again, I think it was kind of a nice idea, and I like the idea of Kamen Riders. I like the proxy war, where it's like we demand the right of single combat, and then the Kamen Riders go out. And
our strongest fights, your strongest.
Our strongest fights, your strongest. I like that.
I would agree.
I liked that. I hated that they reused it again for a freaking tournament arc.
They did it twice, which killed. And they did it within like the span of like 15 episodes of each other.
That was the whole second arc of the show.
Which was so stupid.
Just to give us Rabbit, and Tank.
Rabbit, and Tank, and Sal was betraying us
again.
I out loud as soon as they found the bug, and then like the camera cuts back to the lab, and it's like Sawa is the one in focus. I out loud like clenched my iPad and was like, "Is she betraying them again?"
But this time she was a triple agent.
And like that,
was a double.
It's
double, triple.
Hey, now I just want a Sunday.
I was gonna say at least the entire point of that tournament arc was to give us Rabbit, Tank.
The first time.
The first, but
no, because that's the second time. I'm talking about the first time.
I was still on the Gear Brothers.
Yeah, this is the second tournament arc. The first tournament arc was the one against Grease.
That's not a tournament arc though. That was just one fight.
Yeah.
Either way, it was building.
That was the right of single combat. The tournament arc happens next.
The tournament arc was literally like 1-1-1, then another one, and then another one.
There was a tournament bracket.
Yeah.
There was a bracket.
Somebody programmed and coded a goddamn health billboard for them.
But
with victory
is that it's just again.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong.
It's just the first arc with more steps.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the first one wasn't necessarily a tournament arc.
It pretty much was.
It wasn't. That's not a tournament arc. The right of single combat is not a tournament arc.
Either way, it was basically set up the same way.
It was.
When the Viper fights the mountain, I don't call that a tournament arc.
It was this.
I call that Pedro Pascal.
It was this part of Japan fighting this part of Japan. The second thing was just this part of Japan.
From a story perspective, they are absolutely the same.
Okay, well that's different. That's two different. That's like Hokuto wants to fight Toto. Oh, now this part of Japan is fighting Toto, and it happens
with the third one. Who cares?
Sento.
Sento.
Sento Hento Bento.
But
bento box.
Delicious.
Yeah. Anyway,
food is good.
Let's talk about Daddy Build.
Go on.
His dad.
Oh, right.
Why? He was never alluded to, never shown, really. He just exists, and next thing you know, he's stronger in the main form than you are in Genius.
He comes back, I'm a villain. Oh, you did exactly what I wanted you to, son.
For like 3 episodes.
Now we have defeated Evolto, and we can save the world with the power of... And I'm dead.
His dad just dies, and this is all in the span of like 3 episodes.
Can I ask...
It's awful.
Can I ask...
It's a waste of time.
In terms of story, how did you feel about this whole thing of he is somebody else who swapped bodies? Like he was the genius, but he has the face of that punk rock.
It sets up what he
douchebag. You're talking about the Stock's ability.
Yeah, to switch people's.
Oh no, you're talking about Takumi and Sento.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
How did you feel about that whole plot idea? Because he's trying to find somebody, but it turns out he's that somebody because they swap faces. We couldn't tell.
I was okay with that.
Like I didn't mind it, but First of all,
it just wasn't handled.
I have a lot of problems with Stock and Evolto's characters.
We'll get there.
We will.
In a second.
Oh my god, we will get there.
So
let's actually get to them now. Because that's pretty much
why not?
The rest of it.
I see the next note is end of Evolt in air quotes.
Yeah.
Shall we say?
This was the worst handled final villain ever.
Forget final villain because he's there
from the get
from the get-go, so to speak. But
I liked him in the beginning. I will say that.
Yeah, he was a bastard man. He had likable qualities.
I liked him in the beginning that he was this guy that everybody knew was gonna double cross them. It was like I don't mean to make this comparison, Lupin X. It's like we know he's not on our side, but we're gonna try to use him as much as we can. But at the very,
I don't think that's an equivocal comparison.
No, because Lupin X,
he's very openly working for both sides.
Yeah,
and he is not working with the bad guys for any kind of malicious intent.
But that's fair. It was the
Bloodstock / Evolt / the cafe owner. I'm sorry. How strong is he supposed to be?
Exponential.
As strong as the plot needs him to be.
Yeah, because
such would certainly seem to be the case. Because goodness gracious,
that hazard level.
The hazard level is like the power levels from Dragon Ball. It's completely freaking useless.
Don't introduce something like that if it's not able to be numerically quantified. And I say that because X8 did it a season before, and it was quantifiable.
Level 1, level 2, etc., etc.
But the thing about X8 is that it was consistent.
It was consistent.
It made sense. But his comparison to Dragon Ball power
hazard
levels
level thing
accurate.
is
because the power levels in Dragon Ball are completely useless. They were put in there just to show eventually make light of how useless they eventually were.
Yeah, it was like you're either a Saiyan or you're not, or you're an angel and you're not, or you're Jiren for some reason.
No,
you're not.
No, these people are Broly 1 minute and then Raditz the next. That's what Stalk is. 1 minute people are punching him and kicking him and hitting him with finishers. Finishers are supposed to finish fights, not end a fight and then immediately lead into another fight where said person gets up and then you fight again. It's not one fight that leads into a fight and then you fight and then another fight. It's not how finishers work. What are you, the WWE now? Where
he's not wrong.
Where you have to hit somebody with 4 or 5 finishers in a row before the match can actually end. Goodness gracious.
At least it's not like the fucking Ultraman game from the 80s where you have to beat the villain with the finisher. And if you miss, you gotta build it up.
Oh, yeah.
Never played it.
Just going off of that and the fact that you brought it up, before we actually really get into Evolt, because we're more focusing on Bloodstock here, him jumping bodies was incredibly stupid, incredibly forced, and the whole thing with Banjo was also really stupid. See, here's where I really started to get fed up early, but even more so when all of the stuff that happened at the beginning didn't matter. Nothing about any of the stuff with Japan mattered. None of that mattered. It was all stupid because we went too big. When you start bringing in aliens and a whole bunch of other shit,
and I'm gonna put the war in the black hole.
Yeah, and him just destroying a planet.
Mm-hmm.
This villain drove me up the wall so hard because it basically invalidated everything that happened at the beginning of the show. Nothing about that mattered.
The first 2.5 arcs of this show, before Evolt comes in, that last arc where it's again, I appreciate the risk and I appreciate how ambitious this was, but this is really a case of reach exceeding grasp.
Yes.
They wanted to go so big with this thing. We are going cosmic with this at the end.
Thoroughly.
Where, we have an alien entity that has existed for eons, who has powered himself up through the ages, feeding off of and destroying planets. And this is how we got from A to B.
Especially when
we just the whole warring states, and then we do this, and then it just feels it is a bizarre shift of genre and scope.
It got too big to hold on to.
I texted you about this earlier.
Yeah.
For every good decision the writers seem to make,
5 bad ones.
they make 4 or 5 that are questionable at best and bad at worst.
What did Paula Abdul say? I take 2 steps forward, I take 2 steps back, I take 2 steps back, I take 2 steps back, I take 2 steps back. Because it just keeps going backwards. And we're at a point where you're just like, why is anything like this happening? We can't get back to where we were because we're all the way back here again. We took a right at Albuquerque.
So,
we can take a left.
I was thinking, it was if someone were to ask me to sum up my thoughts on this show in a single sentence, it would be the word, oh, but repeated with about 7 different terms.
Inflections?
With about 7 different inflections. It would be, oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh. Oh. Oh. Oh. And just repeat that as needed.
I mean, it's accurate.
And that's my 1-sentence summary on Build is that.
It's accurate.
Also, the fact that Sento got real stupid about halfway through this. We've shown that he can We've shown that he can make false drivers and false bottles. They've actually shown that in the show proper. And then when Evoke asks him to make one, he does so when he could have not. And then it also shows.
If you're looking for an explanation, you ain't gonna find one.
And then it shows how smart he was because Gentoku had a bomb in him and he got rid of that.
Mm.
And I'm just like, you. It just got so disappointed.
I'm sure one would argue that whoever he was giving the fake bottle to in your hypothetical might have been able to tell it was a fake bottle.
He still would have been able to beat Evolt's ass.
Yeah.
Before Evolt decided, you thought you beat me? No, you didn't.
I took over Banjo's body, and I'm taking over your body, and I'm taking over Grease's body.
That or I'm just back at full strength with no explanation.
Oh, let's actually talk about... okay. When Evil blew up that planet, that happens around episode 32-34. You outpaced your villain from everybody else in this show, and you did it too quickly. There was no sense of threat because Evolt should've, could've, would've, let's face it, just should've, killed everybody at that point. But he wants emotions now. He wants to feel sadness. He wants to feel anger. He wants to feel joy and happiness.
He wants to toy with his food.
This is a choice I was actually okay with.
I was not. It's just like you... Like I said, because of the fact that the entirety of that first part, when it got super alien and sci-fi heavy, got invalidated that first part, it's just like, this wasn't fun anymore. It got tedious because he should have killed everybody.
That's not the vibe I got.
That's the vibe I got. You're sitting here waiting for him, just like, you're saying you're going to kill everybody.
Did he actually destroy that planet, or was this him, or was it just him showing him a vision of it?
He destroyed it. Straight up. Don't tell you. Thought you were going to love me. See, I wrapped it back to Paul Abdul.
Well, I'd expect nothing less from you. But getting back to that, to repeat my point of, good choice equals 5 or 6 questionable or bad ones. I like the idea of we have this cosmic entity from beyond the veil of time and space who has existed for how long, has, consumed countless worlds, and he finally finds one that is making him feel something, and he wants to experience a little more, and he's like, what's this?
What's this?
Every other, what's this? What's this? They've been a cakewalk before. What's this? I'm starting to enjoy myself.
But the thing is...
And he's like, I'm finally starting to enjoy myself. I'm feeling something other than just... I'm not just walking through this and easily being able to destroy it. This world is making me feel something I've never felt. I'm going to take my time and savor this.
I disagree. And I disagree because of episode 1.
Again, I think it's a good idea. Not entirely... No, I am 100% sure. It was executed well.
And I disagree because of episode 1, because of the fact that he lost on Mars. He basically got... let's talk about Pandora's whatever the hell it is. The panels and all that shit. You come up with 2 more... It's a cube, okay? We have a specific shape that we're working towards.
Yep.
You get 2 more panels.
Yeah.
Why? Those lost bottles and all that bullshit, what was the point of it?
We had to get the show to 49 episodes.
And then...
that I think was their logic.
None of that made any sense. And then we find out that all of the combinations, we thought they were just we're going to put organic and inorganic together. Nope, Misara. She did all of this when she was a kid. Yeah. This is the thing she just wanted to see happen. You start invalidating so much of this show. You start invalidating Sato's intelligence.
That Pandora's box did whatever the writers thought it needed to do.
Which was apparently
they were making everything up as they went along. It can do this now. It can do this now. Oh, it can do this now. Well, what if we had lost bottles and they can do this now? And it just keeps going and going until we finally stop.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I hate this show.
Anything else from your...
It's so frustrating.
Anything else from your list?
Let's see.
You'd like to bring up? Or Matt, do you have any thoughts on what we've said thus far?
The entire final third shouldn't have happened. Because I'm with Marcus. He could Thanos the world away at the moment he wanted to, but to me, it seemed like he wanted to play with his food. I didn't get the vibe of, this is making me feel something. I must experience more of it. It was, look at the ants run.
It really felt like, especially, that's like, pretty much as soon as all of the alien stuff started to really happen, and he just started taking over people's bodies because he could. This show spanned...
Which again, that's an idea they couldn't help but repeat 3 times.
This show spans wheels hard.
This show, this show felt like they had too many ideas and couldn't pick one. Somebody had an idea about a segregated Japan that became 3 warring faction countries. And they put that in there. Somebody had an idea about an omnipotent alien force invading and taking over the world, so they put that in there. Somebody had the idea of a jilted father figure who just wanted to make something good for his daughter, but he went down the wrong path, so they fucking put that in there too. And then they combined it into this goddamn fucking
mess of a show.
I was gonna say what goddamn Ed and Al's mom looked like when they tried to bring her back to life from monstrosity.
They really did, especially when Evolt started.
No, because that actually had form.
I know. I just felt like saying it.
Yeah, because Evolt got mad when things weren't going his way, but he still didn't kill anybody. And it's weird because they actually showed it just like, I could do this at any point. And then he just puts a black hole above a couple of buildings and kills a whole bunch of people. And I sit here like, okay. And Evolt's just over there like, all according to Keikaku. Keikaku means cake.
If it were a cake, I wouldn't trust it to transfer to a serving platter.
It was...
Everything is going according to cake.
Everything is going according to cake. Delicious, lovely, cyanide-filled cake.
The cake is a lie.
It's about the show.
And weirdly enough, this is one of those things where this is why I sort of hate it when they tie things to emotions. Because they said that the hazard level goes up when you're angry.
Yeah.
And Gene just needed like a certain hazard level, but he couldn't use it when he was angry.
It wasn't angry enough.
This show is frustrating, annoying to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it pains me. Because so much of it, as you start going along and start looking above, oh my god, shiny shoe. That too. It's just so... There's a thin layer of trying to make sense.
Mm-hmm. And
then you get to the layer of shit that is right under it. And it's really thick. And it's terrible. There's no joy here. There was only shit. And there is more shit. Oh my god. This is one of those shows where I remember when the show ended, everyone was like, oh my god, this is the best Kamen Rider ever. And I'm sitting here like, how?
What world?
In their world.
Where? We just finished X8. That was actually good. This, however, was garbage.
Magma hot garbage.
Anything else from your list?
I like magma.
That was a good farm.
I like the idea, and I kind of want to see this more. I like the idea that his extra like device that he puts in his belt to become magma is knuckles that he legitimately uses to punch people with. I thought that was hilarious.
They did it again later.
Yeah, they did do it again later, but cold.
Same show. Yeah, they did, but cold.
Also, can we stop making the lead female in Kamen Rider some kind of internet personality, please?
They haven't done that since the show.
I don't mean like legitimately an internet personality. I mean that type of person.
Oh, that's where I forgot. I knew I was going to forget to bring something up. Thank you for mentioning that. So, what do you think that the reason that everybody started ended up becoming comic relief, especially Grease and Gentoku? What do you think that reason was?
Because they were simping over what's her face.
Yep.
Well, Grease was.
What do you think the reason was?
I'll just let you tell me.
What show did we just come off of?
X-Aid.
X-Aid.
Who got super popular?
Poppy.
Did Poppy do she?
No.
Oh, what's his face?
Dan. Got Mr. Bendy Man himself. Mr. God. They wanted to be him so bad, and they tried to write him into the show, forgetting that the reason why he turned out that way
was because of the actor.
Because of the actor.
The actor and the script.
No, they changed the script after because of the actor. Because the actor got tired.
It is a best of both worlds, I think.
He got tired when he was about to die in that one scene, and all the insanity started coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried to recreate that.
The whole internet personality thing, just again, like solving our problems through the power of simping, where she puts out a question to the internet and everyone is like, "Oh, I think I know," and that's how we get our answer. I'm okay with that, but you know what? Fine. It's fine. Just do it better. Do it better.
Just between her and Poppy and what's her fucking...
Poppy was a different story.
Well, Poppy was a video game character.
But Poppy... video game character...
Let me put it to you this way. She had two different sides to her personality. One of them was the upbeat, super bubbly, and the other one was super sleepy.
And the girl from Build had the exact same thing.
That was... Yeah.
So my problem is that
I was talking about Misora from Build.
Oh, and Poppy also had two separate personalities. That's my problem, is that this type of character who is on a public forum or public access, a very high personality, bubbly, oh my god, kawaii kind of personality, and then either is the villain, looking at you, Fies, I don't give a shit, she was
bubbly. Who the hell in that show?
Smart lady?
Smart lady.
Oh.
She wasn't necessarily bubbly, but she was positive as fuck.
But moving on to your point.
And then when they're not in the public eye, are a complete different personality. It's just it's a formula that they think works, and for me, really fucking doesn't.
Okay, well, I thought it was okay. I didn't mind Misora's character. I didn't mind the whole Mitan thing.
They made some real stupid decisions with it.
I didn't mind Sawa that much, but I take it you did.
I liked her.
Here's the thing: I didn't mind her, but the whole like I'm gonna betray you twice and then we're
double, triple,
toilet trouble.
A 2x2 by 4 by 2 by 3 by 2
by 5.
Shut the fuck up.
And again, I like the idea. Again, this is an idea that I think was a good idea, but what they did with it was a dumb decision. Sawa being their link to the press. She's going out there and finding information through the power of journalism, but we never actually see it. They say, "Hey, Sawa, go do this," and she goes, "Okay," and she leaves, and then she comes back with a piece of paper with exactly what they need to know on it.
You know what was also depressing?
That's every single time.
She stood around a little bit, sort of like Rinko from Wizard for a good portion of the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what was also sort of depressing? The fact that she gets an action scene in this, which was actually really well choreographed, because the girl's a martial artist. Because you remember what we've seen her in before.
The XL movie, among other things.
She wasn't that. No, I'm talking about Ginga S.
She was the leader of the whatever the squad was in that.
Nobody cares Ginga S. But the only reason I bring that up because she actually had fight scenes in that.
I know.
And I sit here like, get the girl something to do. That's all I want her to do except just run around. She had one fight scene, and then she gets like weirdly molested by Gentoku before weirdness stops happening with him apparently. Because apparently the gas from that made people...
There are two people around the same age who are attractive. They are in love now.
And they don't do anything with it, so it didn't even matter. Anyway, I think we're at the end of this.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I didn't think so.
I have to talk about the ending, as in the very, very ending.
Oh, when they turn into CGI?
No, I'm talking about...
That does happen in the end?
No, I'm talking about the very, very ending, as in like the last 5 minutes of the last episode.
The other world thing.
I'm okay with them doing the other world merging thing because it's honestly one of the only things in this show that was given a kind of sciencey explanation.
I'll give you that.
We have the
still didn't like it.
We have we have like the black Pandora panel, the white Pandora panel, and we have Evolt. We combine them, push them into the space rift, and that will cancel everything out. The worlds will merge, and all the dead people come back to life, and there's a rainbow. What? Fine. At this point in the show, I'm like, fine. I don't care. That's fine. You can do that. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is suddenly they pull an end of Forze where they just bring other Banjo back.
So there's two Banjos. For
no reason. Even after the whole, because he's like, I'm going to go in there with the Volt because part of me is with him and there's a chance he might come back if we don't. And I like the fight scene that happens there. I kind of liked where as Evolt is depowering, so is he, and he's still able to beat him in his less powerful forms. I thought that was a pretty good idea. I thought that was also well done. But just it ends in okay, so our two main characters are now homeless,
and they've been telling this entire show as a story, and
then freaking Sento is like, oh hey, I wrote a 49 episode script about our adventures, and I wanted to eat my tablet. I was so angry at that. What is this nonsense? What makes it worse? Why can't you just have a real ending? That's so stupid.
Let me tell you what makes it worse. Because there was a movie you didn't watch.
No, I did watch it.
His.
Oh, that one? No.
Guess what they brought back?
Evolt. I paid good money for that.
Shut up.
And now it's on the floor.
As long as it's on the floor, not broken.
This show sucks.
This show's terrible.
I was saying to myself last night.
As you wallowed in the darkness.
No, I mean, no, as I was...
in the darkness.
No, as I was watching the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale and,
Enjoy.
As I was watching the credits of that, so to speak, and I was thinking back to the other show I had just finished, I was like, I don't know if the show is that bad, but sitting here with you two, eyes of the internet soon to be upon me, and thinking and just getting all my thoughts out there.
This show is that bad.
This show is awful. This show is... I really think I might hate this show.
You know what the sad thing
is?
I
really think I might hate it. For as many things as I think it does right, for as good as the acting is, for as good as some of the suits can be, for as good as some of the fights can be, for as much as I like the ideas that are on display here, at the end of the day, no. Not enough to save it.
No.
Not enough to save it.
I'm in a very similar place. I walked in here not an hour and some change ago. Mm-hmm. And I said, he was excited to read off his list. And I looked at his face and he just had this face of pain. And I went, oh, I'm going to have to be the happy one here. I'm going to have to be the one that points out all the good things.
Usually it's me being devil's advocate.
Because I was the happy one here.
In terms of, enjoying the show happy one.
In terms of Emperor Palpatine lauding over the pain of others, then, yeah.
Do it.
But then, as we as we discuss this further,
it's like every thought that has been jumbled up in my brain that I managed to get out of my mouth today has made me realize, I'm pretty sure I hate this show.
I still claim it's not the worst Kamen Rider. It's not the worst. It's not as bad as Ghost. It's not as bad as Black RX.
Wizard. It's down there, though.
It's down there, but I would say it's not as bad as Wizard.
I don't care how good or bad it is in comparison to other things.
It's just bad on its own.
Art should be judged on its own merits. And at the end of the day, I feel like this show was a complete and utter waste of my time.
I feel like this show...
It was a complete and utter waste of my freaking time.
Oh, it was.
It was. I think
that's one of the worst things that an entertainment of any sort can do is you finish it and you feel like your time was wasted or you were bored.
I do agree with something you said earlier, is that this show was, for lack of a better term, ambitious.
It is extremely ambitious.
But
it's
the problem
only,
with ambition,
but it's only when you reach for the stars that you can trip and fall so flat on your face that you make an indent in the concrete.
Or you fall into a black hole.
I
Just
think
like he falls into, apparently.
we need to do how
But
we would
not.
fix this.
Oh yeah, this is an
Oh,
easy
I
one to
know.
fix.
That was a given, I figured, going into this.
Yeah. Because I have ideas.
So do I.
Multiple. But, so look forward to that. While we try to find something happier to talk about, let us know what you think in the comments down below.
And next time, you know what? I'm actually going to change this a little bit.
Let's
watch something short. It'll just be you and me, though.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Ultra 7X.
Okay.
Now we are we doing stream next week? Or do we need to discuss that more?
Probably should discuss it more.
Okay. We're still trying to figure out our stream. We think we have an idea of what we're streaming, but it's the when. So we'll announce that as soon as we have more information. Mm-hmm. As always, follow us on all the things. Let us know how much you hate us for how much we hate Build. We're looking forward to it.
I'm waiting!
He drinks your tears.
I do!
But we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.